Okay, so forget everything you think you know from the movies. We're about to pull back the curtain on the real, high-stakes game of cat and mouse that happens every single time a major hack goes down. This is the story of a digital investigation.
Right? We've all seen it. The Hollywood version, with the frantic typing, the glowing green code on the screen, and boom, the bad guy is unmasked in like 5 minutes. But what really happens when a huge company gets hit? How do investigators actually go from one single blinking alert on a screen to a real person in handcuffs? Well, let's dive in.
Every single investigation kicks off with two key teams. First up, you've got the digital first responders. They're in what's called the Security Operations Center, or SOC for short. These are the folks monitoring the networks 24/7 for any sign of trouble. And then you've got the detectives, law enforcement, or LE. They get the call when that trouble becomes a full-blown crime. You see, the SOC detects the threat, but LE investigates the crime. And that partnership, it's absolutely crucial to cracking the case.
So, when does a simple technical glitch cross the line and become a federal crime scene? It all starts with one single critical moment, what I like to call the digital 911 call.
Look, a security operations center gets thousands of alerts a day. They don't call the cops for every little thing. That call is reserved for when some really serious lines get crossed. We're talking about things like confirmed fraud or extortion, a ransomware attack demanding millions of dollars, or the massive theft of sensitive personal data. The second one of these triggers is hit, the mission instantly changes from defense to evidence gathering. And the moment law enforcement arrives, whether that's digitally or physically, the priorities just completely flip. It's no longer just about damage control, it's all about preserving a very, very fragile crime scene.
This initial handoff, it's like this careful, methodical dance. First, the SOC provides the first few breadcrumbs, the initial signs of the break-in. Then, law enforcement steps in to get the legal paperwork, the warrants, that define exactly what they can and cannot touch. And finally, they work together to basically freeze the entire digital crime scene, making sure not a single bit or byte of evidence gets lost.
Now, this next part goes against every instinct an IT person has. Normally, the first impulse is to just wipe the infected servers and get everything back online, right? But in a criminal investigation, doing that is like washing away all the fingerprints at a murder scene. The rule is absolute. Evidence first, containment second. Hitting that delete button too soon could literally destroy the entire case.
Okay, so the crime scene is secure. Now the real hunt begins. It's time for the forensic experts to start following that trail of digital breadcrumbs left by the attacker.
And just like a physical crime scene needs its fingerprint experts and its DNA analysts, a digital investigation calls in its own elite specialists. Each one is trained to find a very specific kind of clue, and they look in places you'd never, ever expect.
Your network forensics folks, they're kind of like the traffic analysts of the digital world. They sift through mountains of logs to map out the entire intrusion. How did the attacker get in? How did they move from one system to another, what's called lateral movement? And did they call home to their own servers to sneak data out?
And of course, with so much of our data living in the cloud now, this specialty is more vital than ever. Cloud forensic experts work directly with providers to investigate things like email fraud. They dig through access logs to answer those simple but crucial questions. Who logged in, from where, and what exactly did they do?
And then, you've got mobile forensics. I mean, our phones know everything about us, which makes them an absolute goldmine of evidence. These investigators can pull up deleted texts, GPS locations, and call logs that can create a direct link between a digital crime and a real person.
But here's where the real magic happens. The breakthrough comes when all these pieces get put together. None of this works in a vacuum. By correlating what happened on a specific laptop with the network traffic from that same time and the cloud access logs, that's how investigators build a complete minute-by-minute timeline of the entire attack.
But listen, finding all the clues, that's only half the job. Now, all that evidence has to be packaged into a story that will actually hold up in a court of law. And this is such a critical point. The end goal isn't just to figure out what happened, it's to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt to a judge and a jury who, might not know the difference between a firewall and a file server. And that is a huge, huge challenge. This whole process leads to two very different final reports. The SOC report, that's for the internal teams. It's all focused on how do we fix this and how do we make sure it never, ever happens again. But the law enforcement report is built for prosecutors. It's a precise, factual account of the evidence, designed to be presented in court. Same incident,
Two different stories, but one shared goal: justice.
So where does the fight go from here? Well, for these digital detectives, the battlefield is just getting more complex and a lot more dangerous every single day.
The simple truth is, this is a digital arms race. Cybercriminals are relentlessly innovative. They're constantly coming up with new ways to break in, and maybe more importantly, new techniques to cover their tracks and just vanish. And that creates these immense challenges for investigators.
The first major hurdle is encryption. Now, it's great for protecting our privacy, for sure, but it can also act like a digital vault for criminals, locking away the most crucial evidence. Investigators often need special legal authority just to even try and peek inside.
Second is just the sheer volume of data. We're talking terabytes of logs every single day from just one company's SOC. Trying to find that one tiny signal of an attack in that massive ocean of data, it's the ultimate needle in a haystack problem.
And finally, the criminals are actively fighting back. They use these sophisticated tools, they're called anti-forensics tools, that are designed specifically to destroy evidence. They can wipe digital footprints, change system logs, and even plant false clues just to throw investigators off the trail. It makes it incredibly difficult to prove who was actually behind the keyboard.
It really is this constant arms race, where that partnership between the fast-acting cyber-first responders and the methodical digital detectives is more vital than ever. And it all leads to one critical question for the future of justice. As criminals get better and better at perfecting their digital disguises, as they learn to vanish into the noise, will our cyber cops be able to keep up?